Welcome to the Country Hipster Podcast. My name is Paul. I am the Country Hipster. To my left is my brother and co-host Adam, the country. What are you now? I know you were the country lesbian. You were the country. What did we give you something else too in one of the episodes besides country lesbian?
No, I think it was just country lesbian.
Country lesbian? I thought there was something else. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. I'll have to go back and look.
But hey guys, how's it going?
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Our theme music was none other than the Unholy Four, the song Dirty Knife. The Unholy Four is a band out of Charlottesville, Virginia. Go check them out on Spotify and Bandcamp and a bunch of other places.
Just so I'm clear on it. It's for the word, not the number, right?
Man, why are you fucking me up like that? I don't know, actually.
I know. I think we talked about it on one of the episodes.
I think we did, yeah.
And I can't remember because.
Well, I'll see.
You're Birmingham 6
with the word.
With the word, not the number, because the number is. You said like some Norwegian.
Yes,
band.
it is the word. Unholy Four, F-O-U-R,
okay.
is the artist. Yeah. Yep. So spell it out. If you need to know how to spell four, it's F-O-U-R, not F-O-R or F-O-R-E. English can be a very.
I was always told when
confusing.
writing like a paper or something, if the number is less than 10, you write the word. But if it's more than 10, you can just write the number.
Oh, that's weird. I never heard that. Okay, yeah. But I didn't write any fancy papers,
yeah.
So it's all good. What are you drinking there?
I'm drinking another one of these Rusty Rail Brewing Banana Creamsicle Hazy IPA Fog Monster.
Okay.
In the last episode, Paul said that this was one of the 2 worst beers he's ever had.
Yes, it's true.
And I happen to actually enjoy the the creamsicle one. I enjoyed the berries creamsicle one too.
I think there's one in there.
But too. This is significantly better than the. I enjoy it. You know, because I like
disgusting.
I like what's it called? What is it that always kind of has like a banana undernote to it? The Hefeweizens. One of the German, one of the German beers, has a banana undertone to it, and I enjoy Hefeweizens, so I think that's why I enjoy this.
Cool. I am drinking it's tequila and cranberry.
Oh.
I am not on my period.
No.
Nor do I have a UTI.
Yeah,
but
good for you.
Yes. So.
You finally kicked it.
Yes. Went to a minor league baseball game yesterday with the family. This is my birthday. We are now. This is posted. We're about 2 weeks out from my birthday, but yesterday was my birthday, and we went to a game, and my brother-in-law was there with us. He was talking about how he went to a picnic or a barbecue or something, and they had like a pitcher of cranberry and tequila, and he said it was really good. Yeah. So I was like, that does sound good. So when we got home from the game, I made myself one. I was like, damn, that's good. And so I wanted another one since I still had cranberry juice left over from when we made the Cape Cod Coolers on the Vampire Weekend episode.
I'm not a huge tequila person. I enjoy tequila. Mm-hmm. It's not my drink. It's not my go-to. People generally ask me what I drink, and I usually say darker beer and Irish whiskey.
Right.
But I do enjoy. I will do tequila. Our Zach was like really into tequila for a little bit.
Okay.
So like on my 21st birthday, he bought me a shot of tequila, and he was like, "Oh, we gotta get the salt and the lime." I'm like, "How about we just
drink it?
Drink the shot of tequila."
Which is what I do too. I can actually shoot tequila. Like I can't really, I can drink whiskey. I can do other shots, but like. It's always like, oh god, I feel like I'm gonna gag. Except tequila, I can just be like, boom, tequila.
What I really enjoy is, I think I've talked about it before on the podcast. When we would go down the shore, Zach and I would we'd find like a liquor, and we would focus on that liquor all week.
Okay.
But we, and have beer as like backup. So like that's actually where I discovered my love for old fashions.
Okay.
Because we bought a bottle of Maker's Mark.
That's good stuff.
And we were drinking old fashions all week. But the one week, Zach bought a bottle of Jose Cuervo, and he found a drink that it's called Toxic Water.
Okay.
Where it's basically a shot of tequila to whatever, I forget the size, but the smaller cans of Red Bull.
Oh, okay.
What are they, like 8 something, whatever the hell they are?
Yeah.
So a small can of Red Bull to a shot of tequila. And what I really liked was the one of the summer flavors that Red Bull put out was it was sugar free. So that was a strike against it, but it was limeade.
Ooh. I
So
love lime stuff.
so limeade Red Bull with tequila was fucking amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, if you're a fan of tequila, and you're a fan of Red Bull, try Toxic Water.
There you go.
Or if you have your period and a UTI, drink what Paul's drinking.
Tequila and cranberry. And also, it's funny, like we talk about like drinks and how like you guys would go on like vacation and have like a liquor that you would do. My friend Mary Kate was over like I guess at this point like a month ago or so. And she's like, guys, just out of nowhere. She's like, I got a big announcement. We're like, oh fuck, what's going on? You know what I mean? And she's like, this summer is the summer of gin. I just kind of looked at her. I'm like,
Is it?
wait, is that really a big announcement? But okay, what? Explain. So apparently, this summer she is planning on making all gin based drinks, cocktails and stuff like that throughout the summer. So I was like, I fucking like gin. So I like gin a little too much sometimes.
I like the Royal Pims.
That was good. Yeah,
like
that is a gin based thing. The Pims cup. Yeah.
I quasi enjoyed the Obituary.
Oh yeah, Obituaries.
I know I can't remember when. You know what it was? When I used to play roller hockey, we had a fundraiser at a bar, and one of the things you could get was just like like low level, low shelf mixed drinks, and like everyone that I hung out with for some reason at a certain point in the night just started drinking gin and tonics.
All right, they're good stuff. I did the one St. Patrick's Day many years ago. We were playing in Finnegan's Wake when Finnegan's Wake was around. Oh, Finnegan's Wake from 3rd and Spring Garden down in Philly. We were playing in the basement, which was kind of like our residency there for St. Patrick's Day for a few years.
Oh.
And so got there at noon and just started drinking pints of gin and tonic. Jesus. And I just kept drinking pint after pint after pint of gin and tonic straight through till about 9 o'clock. But like when we actually got done playing, I got us paid, handed the money to probably the bass player. Was like, count this and dole it out, and they just looked at me. I'm like, I'm fucking out because I was fucking trash, man. Just pints of gin and tonic, and they didn't charge me like because they were cool. The bartenders we had a pretty good relationship with down there. It's basically, we'd walk up at the end of the night, be like, what do we owe you? And they're like, whatever, and we were like, all right, so we just throw them like $100 or $200 or something, be like, have a great night. So but it was a good time.
Do you ever watch the show Rescue Me with Dennis Leary?
I've seen it. Yeah,
there's the one thing that always makes me laugh. At one point, Dennis Leary walks into a bar, and he asks the bartender for 8 fingers of whatever the most expensive whiskey is, and the bartender's like, what are you talking about, 8 fingers? And he puts a hand down on the bar that, and then puts his other hand on top. So the dude just pours him a pint glass of whiskey.
Yep. So, but we are recording this a couple weeks before it's airing.
I say, but we're recording it the day after a very special day.
Well, it's my birthday. Yeah, it was my birthday yesterday.
Paul's birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to me. Yeah, we had a good time.
Mid to late 30s.
Yes, mid to late 30s. That's what I'm going with. I'm still in my mid to late 30s. But when this airs on June the 18th, it will be the Thursday before Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Happy Father's Day to Adam, who has like 3 million kids from the time he was 7 years old.
That's a happy Father's Day to you.
Yes, thank you, and happy Father's Day to the skipper.
Yes.
So yep. So but other than that, should we get down to business or?
Speaking of Father's Day, I was sitting at the house yesterday, and my mom goes, "Hey, what's that website you get your hats from?" I talked about them on the podcast before. The hats that this hat and my black hat that I wear are from a company called Ep11. And they're all, I think it's technically like an Etsy shop that just became its own website, but all the hats are handmade and everything. They're all actually numbered. This one is 7,915. But she's like, what's the name of that website where you get your hats from? I'm like, why? She's like, don't ask questions why. And then I remembered that it's June. I was like, I'll send you the fucking link.
There you go.
So I should be getting a new Ape and Bird hat in the near future for Father's Day.
There you go. Maybe it'll be black, and you'll have 2 black ones.
No, actually, the one I sent her, it's it kind of looks like the color that on the website is referred to as smoke. Okay. But it looks like it's described as like gray with like a greenish undertone.
Nice. I just prefer the Aldi hats.
Yeah, Aldi.
$3.99 Aldi hats.
Yeah.
So, okay, before we actually get to business, which would have been the fastest we were ever getting to business on here.
Sorry, Tom.
So, if I said to you this statement, and I actually made this statement earlier today, and I think it's actually one of the funniest fucking things I ever said. I'll give you the context after I say it, but I think most people who know me, if you heard me say this, you'd be like, you wouldn't even ask questions. You'd be like, that's Paul. And the statement was, well, I had been drinking, and I had to see about the skunk.
All right.
Yeah, so here's the context about that. But like, I'm actually thinking of getting T-shirts made up that just say, I had been drinking, and I had to see about the skunk. So it was my birthday, and we went to minor league baseball game. We went to the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, which are located in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It's third game we went to. It was a lot of fun.
You said they're the minor league Phillies.
Yes, they're AAA Phillies affiliate.
Who are the Thunder?
No, the Thunder are, I think, the AA affiliate of the New York Yankees.
Okay.
If they're still affiliated. I thought I read something where actually the Yankees broke off their affiliation with them, but I could be wrong about that.
Something I've never understood fully was like AAA, AA.
Oh, there's like all these
Division
like,
1,
levels.
like college, like Division 1, Division 2. Never understood that shit.
I don't understand dick about college sports. Which is why I don't follow them. But I know a little bit about the different A's of baseball, and ultimately, like, the next MLB players are really usually coming directly from AA. The really good ones are coming from AA. AAA is kind of that, you're not quite there and you might never be there, or you were there once and you're never going to be there again.
Okay.
Sort of.
So it's kind of like it's kind of like Degrees of Murder, where like the lower number is the more severe. So like
kind of like you more the lower number is the more potential.
Okay.
Whereas like
so AA is Major League Baseball single A baseball?
No. Single A is like basically like right out of high school, right out of college sort of deal. Like you don't know shit about shit, even though you've been playing baseball your whole life.
But AA is like one step below the show.
No, AAA is technically one step below the show. But if you're going to be a superstar in baseball, you're generally coming directly from AA to the majors. You usually don't hit AAA, or you hit AAA very briefly. AAA is almost like the spot where you go to die.
It's confusing.
Yes, it is. It is. The Durham Bulls, if you saw the movie Bull Durham, the Durham Bulls were a AAA team.
Okay.
Yes. So, but at any rate, so we went to the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. It was a really good time, like really nice stadium. I actually finally got like street corn. I never had street corn.
Yeah, and we were talking about that the other day.
And there was a stand by us, and I was like, oh, that smells really fucking good. So I got street corn for the first time. It was delicious. A stand called All Shucks, which is
it's a solid name for a
corn stand. And apparently it's not even like a fancy name for like the Iron Pigs. It's actually a business in Allentown that's like independent business, and they have a couple stands in the stadium there. So it was cool. So I got that. But at any rate, the cool thing was like so we had Regina with us, and we had really good seats because seats are super cheap. So we're like sitting like second row.
I imagine it's like Phantoms games where like
pretty much,
we would show up 20 minutes before the Phantoms game and be like 10 rows from the ice.
Exactly. So a couple of the players are coming from the bullpen at the end of the game, and they're walking by. We were still there, and I had the baby. I'm like, yo, it's our first game. Give us a ball. So they gave us a ball,
nice,
which was cool. So I was like, yeah. So we got a ball,
which is a bold-faced lie because you guys took it to a Phillies game.
We took it to a Phillies game too. Yeah. Well, we actually figured out. Jack came up with it. Jack, our producer, director, and editor, came up with the fact that we have till she's about 4.5, 5. Where we can use that. This is her first game. Give us the ball. So it's like, all right, cool. So we got that going for us for a little bit. But at any rate, so afterwards we went to eat, and as we're coming home, we're coming up our driveway, which our driveway is almost a quarter of a mile long, from the street to where our house is. And where our house is situated is there is one of my neighbors, their property is in front of us, and he has roughly 3 acres-ish as well, probably a little bit smaller than 3 acres, because we have the 3 acres. So, but his house is situated near the street. We come up the driveway and it spins around, and then there's our house. So it's almost a quarter of a mile off of the road there. And as we're coming up the driveway, we see a skunk from like the middle of his property start to run up, towards our property. Number one, this thing was fucking adorable. It was all fuzzy. It had like besides the white stripe on its tail, it had like a big like bushy white head.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my god, the thing was fucking fast. So we're going slow. We're like, oh, where are you going? Where are you going? So it goes on our property and we could see that it goes underneath the people who had the house before us would just kind of
build piles
of shit, and a lot of it's just branches and twigs and shit like that. So I see them run into the one thing, but it also kind of looks like I had this like makeshift shed, and it kind of looked like he was there. So I get out of the car and I have Katie's leftover food from the restaurant, which she's like, oh, this is really good, but it's so much food, I'm going to have it for lunch tomorrow. You could probably have some too. So I'm cool. So apparently I put it on the hood of the car, right? And I went over to see like, oh fuck, where's that skunk? And so
went over to examine the skunk.
So fast forward to this morning, we're heading out because we had to take Regina to the doctors for her 6-month checkup. She's 6 months old today, and we walk out, and on the hood of the car is Katie's lunch. So like, oh, looks like your lunch is well heated. She's like, God damn it. She's like, how did you do that? She's like, why did you? And she said, why did you do that? And so I looked at her and said, well, I had been drinking and I had to check on the skunk.
I have a fun skunk story. The one time I was driving, somewhere. I don't remember where I was going, but it was literally right around the corner from my house, and I'm about, I want to say, 50 feet ahead of me in the road. What looks like it's nighttime, and it looks like there's a large furry snake making its way. It's like 5 feet long, just making its way across the thing. And I'm like, what is this furry snake? The fuck is this? So it finally gets over to the side of the road. It's all moving in unison. So I'm like, what the fuck is this? I pull up, and it's a mama skunk with like 4 or 5 little baby skunks.
Wow.
And anytime the mama skunk would deviate from her path, the baby skunks would follow directly behind her.
Oh, that's pretty amazing.
So everything was just moving like a giant furry fucking snake.
If only fucking human kids did the same thing, it'd be wonderful.
I was like, that's fucking adorable. It's just a big, long strip of black fur with a white line going down the back of it.
That is awesome.
I was like, a little furry snake.
That's cool.
But it was fun.
Yeah, so I've had a few close encounters with skunks, but so I'm hoping not to have too close of an encounter with this skunk that's now on our property, even though I went looking to check on the skunk yesterday.
And you're like, let's go fuck with it.
Wasn't even on a fucking. I actually was more concerned of because the makeshift shed is where I have my lawnmower, it's where I have my zero turn, it's where I have my log splitter. So it's like I gotta go in there. I don't really want to get skunked every time I go in there.
Makes
but
sense.
Whatever. We'll see. Maybe if I'm drunk, I'll do it. But we're not here to talk about booze. We're not here to talk about skunks.
What are we here to talk about?
We are here to talk about Season 1, Episode 11, the debut album from the band The Violent Femmes, The Violent Femmes. It's right here.
Ugh. It's got the cellophane on it, so you might catch a glare.
Yeah, you might catch a little glare
there.
There
you go.
This is from my collection. It's one of my 25. We'll get into which particular pressing I have there in a little bit, but this album was released on April 13th, 1983, making this album, not this particular one, but making the album 40 years old this year, which on Record Store Day this year, if you are a Record Store Day shopper, you would notice that there was a 40th anniversary picture disc reissue available on Record Store Day this year. The original album consists of...
When is Record Store Day?
It's actually in April, so I forget what day it was.
See, I thought Record Store Day was June.
They're adding Record Store Days, but there was one in April. I don't know if they're doing another one in June.
What I think?
Black Friday is a Record Store Day.
I think I think it's technically I think it's the first day of summer, June 21st, is considered Ghost Skateboard Day.
Oh, cool.
That's I think what I might be thinking. But yeah, I could have swore that Record Store Day. There's Comic Book Store Day.
I know.
Everyone just makes up holidays and shit.
Record Store Day started off like one day a year, and then it turned out it was like in April, and then on Black Friday, and then I do think there's one in June. So I don't know if there's one in June this year. I don't know, but they have added Record Store Days, and then there's all the indie exclusive stuff. That is only supposed to be available to Record Store Day. I have a little bit of a bone to pick with Record Store Day, but overall, I love Record Store Day. I love the idea of Record Store Day. I love the idea of supporting small businesses and shopping Main Street. And, I listen to and I sell records online because I got into records. I went crate digging to Princeton Record Exchange. I go to Milk Crate. I've been to Creep Records. Basically anywhere in the area of Philadelphia or whenever I go anywhere, if I see a record store, like I want to go check it out.
Yeah.
So I mean, I do appreciate it. Kind of my bone to pick with Record Store Day is that I can't get Record Store Day stuff because I'm an online only business.
Brick and mortar.
Which in the grand scheme of what Record Store Day is, I do understand and I do agree with that. And like, you know, but you have these record stores, and it's not all of them. It's not, you know, it's not all record stores that do this, but they can, because they have a brick and mortar. Well, they also sell online, and they'll get in their stock, and they'll put some stock aside, and then turn around and gouge it online afterwards.
Yeah, that's
and it's, I think, like, you know,
like you talked about how I don't remember which distributor you were saying, but one distributor you said will give you the India exclusive.
One will give me the India exclusive stuff. They can't. And I get it. They can't give me the Record Store Day stuff, but they will give me the
they say they recognize that, like, yes, you're not a brick and mortar, but you are a small business trying to push this culture.
Yes, and that's the bone I have to pick.
Yeah, I feel like they should kind of like what proof do they need that you're a brick and mortar record store?
Well, they take pictures, they look, they Google. Oh, they check that shit out. There's a whole on the Record Store Day website. You actually have to go on there, verify your store, sign the pledge, all this kind of stuff. But that's the thing. It's like, so you have these because
like realistically, you're like, yes, you're not selling records you're selling records from your garage on your computer.
Right.
You're not having people physically come to your garage, but this garage is brick and mortar, and you got a bunch of fucking records for sale. So technically, this is a brick and mortar record store.
Right, but it's not.
But it's not. I mean?
So
it's just, it's shitty.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm getting is like, it's like, you know, Ottsville. And I'm not trying to make this into like, oh my god, fuck Record Store Day, because like, again, I love Record Store Day, but there are other people like me. There are other sellers out there who are literally independent individual sellers who are listing the records, packing the records, doing the customer service, shipping the records. They're doing all this stuff themselves, and they can't get Record Store Day stuff because my business actually suffers for at least a month. When Record Store Day happens.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and it's fine. Again, I support the idea of Record Store Day.
I still feel like
that's my bone to pick with Record Store Day.
It is kind of annoying that I just. Oh, that was the ice in your glass. I thought it was your.
Oh no! That's gonna be a little while.
I feel like they should. They're being too exclusive.
Too literal.
Yeah, they're being too literal for what like at the end of the day, it's a dying medium.
Well, no,
it's not.
It was dead at one point.
But physical medium in any sense is dying.
Okay.
Like, like I said, all my records live here. Every single album that we've discussed, I've listened to on iTunes. Mm-hmm. You listen to it on Spotify.
I listen to on Spotify as well.
Streaming is the way. The streaming is like record, like you said, records are, you know.
Yep, they're the only growing medium of music.
Yeah.
Physical medium of music.
Yeah.
But everything else is either shrinking or staying the same.
Everything else is like you said, everything else physical is shrinking or staying the same. Yep. So don't be like, why would you put a limit on where that can go? Like if they gave you Record Store Day shit, it's who is it hurting? It's not. The only thing it's doing is aiding the culture.
Yeah, I think there's things they could do. It's even in the case of like, hey, if you're an online only store, like you can't list on Record Store Day. You can get the goods. Yeah. You can't list on Record Store Day. You can't list until the day after. Because ultimately that's what like sometimes like within hours, like and people who just buy stuff for records, that's the other thing. People go into a record store, buy a bunch of shit, and then they'll go home, and these are just individual people, not stores. But then they'll go home and they'll list it on Discogs a few hours later, and at like a profit for them.
That's everything. Like, that's why you could have sold, like you could have bought Taylor Swift tickets for $200,
right?
And sold them for $5,000.
Yes, exactly.
Like, so yeah, it's just kind of shitty.
Yeah. So,
I now have a bone to pick with Record Store Day too.
So that is my bone. Like I said, I love the overall idea. I love what it is. I love what it stands for. I love that it supports small businesses. I love that it supports brick and mortar record stores. But it's not all inclusive, and I guess that's America, right?
No.
Yeah. So at any rate, this album originally consisted of 10 songs when it was released.
I was gonna say the version I listened to had 2 extra songs.
Right, which those 2 extra songs, which are Ugly and Give Me the Car, were added to the 1980 1987 CD release. This was released on Slash Records and some other bands of note that were also on Slash Records, and this isn't all of them, but a bunch of them. Like you had the Del Fuegos, you had Faith No More, Fear, L7, Los Lobos.
Fear, like I Love Living in the City? Fear?
No, I don't know. Just the band Fear.
Like the punk band.
Yeah.
That's Fear.
Is that Fear? Okay, all right. Los Lobos.
Like band from Saturday Night Live.
Okay. Misfits, X, Rammstein,
Nice.
and for good measure, Robin Hitchcock, as well as others. So those are some of the more notable artists that have come out from Slash Records. Although there are a lot more that were not mentioned. This is the most successful release of the Violent Femmes. This was certified gold in 1987, platinum in 1991, which, ironically enough, was when it finally charted on the Billboard 200, where it peaked at 171. So it was 10 years after it was released, it finally got on the Billboard top 200 and peaked at 171. Most of the songs on the album were written by the singer-guitarist Gordon Gano. And it is consistently listed on as one of the top albums of the 1980s, and it is often cited on, it's like basically it's often cited as the top albums of 1980s. So let's talk about the cover real quick. It's a very this is one of those covers where, if like Violent Femmes is written on it. Oh,
can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
I'm now currently drinking the non-creamsicle version of the Rusty Rail Fog Monster, just the hazy, double hazy version of it.
There you go.
So I'm excited about this one.
So this is one of those covers, like album covers, where like even though it says Violent Femmes on it,
That's good.
you like that? Yeah,
Fucking
I like it. Even if it didn't say Violent Femmes, I could look at that cover and know that's the Violent Femmes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It does say it in the upper right hand corner, but it's like
For a minute, I had to think, I'm like, it doesn't say it, but it does.
Yeah, it does. It does. And so the cover is actually a 3-year-old girl named Billie Joe Campbell, who her and her mom were walking down the street in L.A., and they offered her $100 to be on the cover, which they accepted. Really? Apparently, in this picture, while they were doing the photo shoot, they were telling the little girl, Billie Joe Campbell, to look through the window and find the animals. But there were no animals. So, yes. But, yeah. So that's apparently, that's a 3-year-old girl who was offered $100 to be on an album cover.
There you go.
So there you go. Which is probably, with as many times as this has been repressed and reused and all that kind of stuff, the $100 is probably way underpaying.
I wonder
for the album cover.
I wonder if she's ever like given shit. Like I remember hearing a little while back. There was a story about the kid who was the baby on the cover of Nevermind.
Oh yeah.
He was saying, I forget what the fuck he was saying. It was something like, I don't remember.
Something about his dick being like.
At the end of the day, I think it was just a fucking like publicity thing that he probably just fucking wanted money from. But it was something along the lines of, it was like, my
junk,
my little baby dick's out for the fucking world to see. I was like, I'm like, prove to a girl that you are the baby on the cover of Nevermind. And she's not gonna care that you got a little baby dick. She's not gonna care that you got a baby dick on the cover of the album. She's gonna be like, I suck the baby dick of the dude who was on the cover of Nevermind.
Unless he still has a baby dick.
Even that, I don't think it would matter. They'd probably still be fine with it.
That's possible. It is possible. So, what are your overall thoughts on the album?
So, I've always known the song "Blister in the Sun."
Mm. We're going to get into that.
We'll get into it. I've always known the song "Blister in the Sun." I've always known that it was from this album because I have it on a playlist, and that's the fucking album artwork that comes up. I didn't realize how many other songs on this album that I knew.
Yes. So real quick, let's talk about "Blister in the Sun." Okay. So, number one, it's not the best song on the album.
No, it's not in my top 3.
It is very overplayed. And basically the song that everyone recognizes. Oh, I like the Violent Femmes, but you like Blister in the Sun. Now, I don't mean to be that like dude where like name fucking 3 songs by the band of the t-shirt you're wearing. Because I really don't care. If you like a t-shirt, like a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Right? I wear a fucking Aldi hat because I like a fucking Aldi hat.
Yeah, but you can name 3 songs that Aldi wrote.
But that's besides the point. But, it's like that is the song. Like you said, it shows up on the playlist. And I get it. It's catchy. It's got the little hand clap thing, but there are so many better songs on this album. Mind you, like when we get into our favorites and least favorites, this is not my least favorite song on the album. It's not the song. Like that, like I said, there's so many better songs on this album. And honestly, more recognizable songs too.
I don't know about recognizable.
Oh, Add It Up.
I know, but still.
Yeah, man. Everybody knows Add It Up with the stops, and then it was done. Ethan Hawke did a version of it in what the fuck was that movie that I hated with Winona Ryder and Billy Zane? Not Billy Zane. The fucking Ben Stiller's in it. It was supposed to be like the Breakfast Club of like the new thing. Janine Garofalo's in it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. But anyway,
yeah.
So like Ethan Hawke does like a version of it there. It's actually a pretty good version. Oh man, that's a great song. But anyway, it's not the best song. But go on.
I agree. Blister in the Sun it's not my least favorite song on the album, but it is not in my top 3 on the album. And
if you're out there and you're like watching this and you've never listened to the album or anything else by the Violent Femmes, but you like Blister in the Sun, it's okay. Go listen to the rest of the album because you will find other songs that you like. But
on that note specifically, I was listening to the album. Side 1, track 1 is Blister in the Sun. So I turn the album on in my car. Blister in the Sun starts playing. And then the album starts playing. The album continues to play. And I'm like, oh, I know that song. Oh, I know that song too. And I'm like, I've only actively listened to this one song on this album.
Yeah.
I should have been listening to the rest of this album the whole time.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's a good album. There's at points it's a strange album.
Yes.
Yep. But it's a good album. I can honestly, Paul, you identify as a bass player.
Uh-huh.
I can see why someone who identifies as a bass player would have this in their 25.
Yes.
It's very, very heavy on the bass.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost as if like the sound guy fucked up and turned the bass up too high.
Yeah, well,
not only is it heavy on the bass, but like the bass is fucking good.
It's good.
It's the kind of shit where like I don't play bass, but I want to learn to play Violent Femmes bass lines.
Right. Well, they're only a 3-piece band, so you got the bass, you got the guitar, the vocals, and the drums, and like. The bass, it's like, there's other 3-piece bands where like the bass isn't that big of a deal. Like, not to take anything away from Green Day because, dude does do some cool bass lines, but like, bass doesn't overwhelm you with Green Day. You know what I mean? And there's definitely some good stuff, and he's a pretty solid bass player, but it's not like, oh my god, look at the bass. You listen to the Violent Femmes, we're a 3-piece band, and that's the fucking like. Sometimes you're like, is that bass or guitar? And it's fucking bass, and it's fucking amazing. And I believe we recorded it like completely on like an acoustic bass.
Oh, really?
Which kind of gives it that like round, twangy sound, which is really nice.
More twangy than a bass normally would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I was when I was listening to it, I was thinking, I'm like, I wonder, because like you said, like sometimes you're like, is this bass? Is this guitar?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what type of things existed in the 80s, like what type of effects existed in the 80s, but there's shit now where you can make your guitar sound, there's octave pedals that you can make your guitar sound like a bass.
Yep.
So like, I'm sitting there listening to it, trying to figure out, I'm like I said, I know before listening to it, I knew Blister in the Sun. I don't know anything else about the Violent Femmes. So I'm sitting there trying to figure out exactly how many people are actually in this band.
Yeah.
If it's a 2-piece, if it's something like, because I've seen bands that are literally just bass and drums.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me, at certain points, it gave me vibes of, it gave me Front Bottom vibes. If you've ever listened to the Front Bottoms, where it's kind of Front Bottoms is a 2-piece band. It's good, at least 2-piece on the albums. When they play live, they have more people. But it gave me vibes of that, where it's like very, very simplistic in the sense that it's minimal instruments, but the parts that they are playing can be intricate.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes kind of off melody vocals and stuff like that. Like I said, there's some odd musical choices on the album. I want to say it was. Let me look at it. I want to say it was To the Kill. At one point into the, and there's a couple points into the Kill where it almost sounds like they were playing the song live. Somebody fucked up, started improvising to cover it, and then caught back up to recover.
It's just completely possible. I don't know how they recorded this, but
like it's very interesting choice. At one point, which we'll talk about in a little bit, there's one of the songs is very heavily. When I was looking at the credits on the back of the album, it's listed as xylophone. To me, it doesn't sound like a xylophone.
It's a xylophone.
It sounds more like a marimba.
Nah, it's a xylophone. It's a wooden xylophone.
Which I thought was a marimba.
Nope.
Xylophones are wooden.
Marimba's something else altogether.
I thought a marimba was a wooden xylophone.
No.
I thought xylophones were metal keys.
No. There are metal keyed xylophones.
Maybe I'm thinking of a glockenspiel.
Glockenspiel is all metal, yes.
Glockenspiel is like a marching xylophone, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe I thought I had played a marimba because I had played something that I thought was a marimba in high school, but it was set up very much like a xylophone, but it was big, thick, like 1.5-inch thick wooden keys.
Yeah, that's a xylophone.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a marimba.
No, that's what it was played on.
Oh, okay.
So, all right. So I am drinking from Bucks County Brewery, which I played. Oh man, let me tell you about that. I don't know if did I talk about my show last week? How like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong during this fucking show that I played there.
No.
But anyway, I got a Bucks County Brewery Choosy Chowie Wowie India Pale Ale.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, no, and it's very very delicious. It's their flagship beer. So if you get a chance, check out Bucks County Brewery. It's about 10 minutes from the Outsville Record Garage. Highly suggested. Yeah, I played there and just like seriously everything that
I'm
could
pretty
have gone
sure
wrong.
I've had this. You gave me
Yes,
this.
yeah, I've had it before. Yeah, everything that could have gone wrong during the show, like fucking from like my fucking iPad overheating to like my fucking sound not working to the fucking music stand blowing over. To it was just.
Well, I say you said when you play there, it's outdoors, right?
It's outdoors.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I have to imagine. I have to imagine playing outdoors is a whole different beast than playing indoors.
I really enjoy playing outdoors. You know what I mean? But like this was just like one of those like everything like I turned around and did I fucked up. Like I was like what the fuck? Like at the end of the show I was like, hey, well, thanks guys. I guess.
There's certain things where like
you right there?
Oh, maybe it was your feet. I heard like a sound. Like
it was the skunk.
Is there a skunk back there? I think you talked about how you dislike it. But Birmingham 6 plays like 4th of July, plays St. Patrick's Day parades, which seems like a hellish existence.
It is. I fucking hate parades. I hate parades as it is, and I hate playing parades even more. We did 2 parades this year. We've only been doing one for a while, but we decided to do a second one. We'll be back to only doing one parade going forward. But I dislike parades as it is, and I like playing during parades even less.
No.
So yeah, so never been a parade fan.
No.
So
but yeah, so on the whole, I enjoyed this album. There were certain times of it where I was also trying to figure out while listening to it when the album came out, because
1983, April 13th, 1983.
Because some of the, like I said, some of the weird choices on the musically, some of the weird choices that they went with, it just seems like I can imagine. Excuse me, like this album coming out and people being like, "What in the fuck is this?"
Yeah. So apparently,
I was gonna ask you, like, how was this album critically acclaimed? Like you said, it reached platinum 10 years after it came out.
So first off, the songs on this album were written by when he wrote most of them, a then high school Gordon Gano.
Oh,
like a 16, 17, 18-year-old Gordon Gano. That's where a lot of like the songs were written from. His perspective living in Wisconsin. I did not discover this album until my freshman year of high school, which was 1990, fall of 1990, and I talked about the night that I specifically learned about the Violent Femmes. Was I was out on that date with the girl, driving around,
being driven around by an adult, being driven around by a
makeout
Uber.
It wasn't even by Adam's makeout Uber. That's what we were being driven around, making out in the back of the car, and I learned about the Smiths, The Queen is Dead, as well as the Violent Femmes. So I learned about them in the same night. So but and when I learned about them and I started talking to like other people like that I hung out with them, I found they also knew about the Violent Femmes. And as I like expanded my circle of people that I knew, there were the people who were like, oh, is that like song? Yeah. Or and there was that group of people, and then there was the other group of people who were like, oh man, well I like this fucking song and this and today.
There's another group of people who were like, that's some sick ass xylophone, baby.
Exactly, you know what I mean. So it definitely it was one of those like, because you also got to think then like in the early '80s, man, it's like if you weren't like a fucking like hair band, like you probably weren't like. Like especially doing like alt rock, which is basically
and that's what I mean. Like it seems like a ballsy move to put out an album like this, in the time period that they put it out, because it seemed like to me everything that was kind of coming out around that time was very by the books.
Yep.
Like it was very, but like here's the algorithm for a hair metal band. Here's the algorithm for a fucking synth band.
Here's the algorithm for even a punk band.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because you had the Ramones that were big at that time. And so it was kind of ballsy to do this kind of sound and this music and put it out. But like I said, I didn't discover it until the 90s.
I wouldn't consider this a punk rock album.
No.
But it's very punk rock of them to do what they did.
Yes. It's punk rock attitude.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just kind of, we're going to fucking make what we want to make and fuck what they say.
It's the difference between punk rock culture and punk rock fashion. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So this, like, that's why a lot of people will talk about how, like, and when you listen to it, you don't think punk rock. You don't think of the Talking Heads as punk rock. You don't think of the Violent Femmes as punk rock. You don't think of Blondie as punk rock. Elvis Costello was listed as early punk rock. You really when looking back, you don't think of it, but it was the punk rock attitude.
It's that idea of punk.
It's that fuck you. This is what I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to do it.
This may not be what the mainstream is into, but this is what I'm going to put out, and you guys are going to fucking like it regardless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or you're not going to like it, and I'm still going to fucking do it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what this album was. It was definitely like punk rock at heart.
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't like the punk rock sound. Definitely like I think it like when I was looking it up earlier, they had specifically listed it as a like one of the first like alt rock bands, alt rock albums to be put out, and like when I thought about that for a second, I'm like, but then I was like, oh no, I guess that is actually pretty accurate as to what it was. So it's it's an amazing album. Like
it's really fucking good. And like I said, I was surprised listening to it. I was like, oh fuck, I know this song. Oh, I know that song too. Like I know more from this album than just Blister in the Sun, like I thought.
Yep. This is definitely this was so when we started doing this, when we talked about doing this to put my list together, this was one of the first albums that I picked.
Yeah.
So it's definitely in my top 5, maybe even one of my top 3 all-time favorite albums. Like if I really thought about it, it's probably like top 3. It might even be number 1. I'm not really sure. I'd have to really digest that and try to get into it. I know it's definitely top 5, could be top 3. At any rate, it's generally always like a good go-to album. Like if I'm driving, I'm like, I don't know what I feel like fucking listening to.
No.
You know what? Let me throw the Violent Femmes on. You know, and I'll usually skip over Blister in the Sun and go from there. Like we had already talked about the bass lines. Bass lines are amazing. Who are you talking about?
A friend of mine.
Oh, okay. Everybody, Adam's a little disconnected from today's podcast.
No. Here's the thing. I was saying I'm actually really good at multitasking because I've heard everything you're saying, and I'm participating in the conversation. So,
all right.
But continue.
All right. But at any rate, so great bass lines, amazing bass lines. The songs are solidly written, excellent lyrics. Definitely, Kiss Off spoke to angsty teenage Paul. When you get to that thing and it does the countdown 1, 1, because you're left, it's like, fuck yeah, man! It just keeps going.
What is it? Is it 8 that he can't remember? Is it 8?
Yeah.
8. I forgot what 8 was for.
Yeah, I forgot what 8 was for. 9 after my Lost Cause. Yep. And I play that every now and then in my solo shows, which I get like a handful. Like I get a lot of people be like, "What is he doing?" And then I'll have other people be like, "Oh, nice, it's not Blister in the Sun."
Yeah.
So.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, I think I asked you to play Blister in the Sun one of the last times I saw you live, and you're like, I can't fucking play that song.
No, because you can't, because it's like, because there's There's no real chords to Blister in the Sun.
I play Blister.
Yeah, but I can't sing it and play it. I'm not that. I can play the riff. I know the riff.
Yeah,
I can play the riff.
I can do both.
What was cool was when I was yeah, well, go ahead. You do your own fucking solo shows, motherfucker. No, when I was filling in with on bass the summer with Jameson Celtic Rock a few summers back, they were between bass players.
Follow on Instagram at
Jameson CR.
Jameson CR.
There you go. Frank Daly was on a friend of the podcast. Was on the Smiths episode. But at any rate, that was one of the songs they were doing, and I was just like, oh, okay, cool, I can get into this, and I got to play like the bass on that, which was a lot of fun. I got to like, which actually one of the things I remember is like the first show I'm doing with them, we're playing, and I was nervous because like I'm just like, because they're, it's like. Birmingham 6 is what it is, and I'm very comfortable with it.
Frank's wearing a kilt.
Yeah, actually, he wasn't wearing a kilt.
You're not sure if he's wearing anything under it,
No, but I was, like Birmingham 6 is what it is. I'm obviously more comfortable with that.
Yeah.
We're professional, but we're not professional. You know what I mean? We're professional to an extent.
You're professional, but at the end of the day, you all have day jobs.
Exactly.
Like Frank, that's
his
thing.
job, right?
That's his
so
day
it's like
job.
and so like I'm going into this. I'm like a little nervous, but fuck it. Then some of the songs I'm not familiar with because like. It's like top 40 songs and whatnot. And I just remember, so I'm definitely playing a little timidly, and we get to that song, and we're playing it, and it comes to the part where like there's like the breakdown and the bass like tears it up. And I just remember, and the drummer is like, we're getting to that point, and like he and I hadn't like synced up yet. And we get to that point, and he stops, and I just like rip it off like perfectly, and I just hear him go, "Fuck yeah!" And he just like gets it up. I was like, "All right, cool." You know what I mean? So that was cool. That was cool to be able to play that and play that on bass. So as a bass player, like to be able to play any Violent Femmes is pretty.
That's like when I was listening to it, like I feel like I've discussed on the podcast before. Paul identifies as a bass player. I identify as a guitar player. And a lot of times when I've listened to stuff for this podcast, I go like my notes are always like, oh fuck, like that bass line or that drum part or like that's like I keep finding these things in the bands that we're listening to that aren't the instrument I'm most comfortable with.
Right.
And like listening to Violent Femmes, I was like I did before. When I was in high school, I was learning upright bass, but they were teaching me classical things that you play with a bow.
Right.
I would have fucking loved to have been taught Violent Femmes shit on upright bass. Like, that's the kind of shit I wanted to play.
So this one, as a young guitar player, because I started playing guitar when I was, like, 12 years old, like, fucking around, like, not really, like, so I'll still say it, I don't know how to play guitar.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, I never had formal lessons. I had a guy sit there and draw a bunch of chord diagrams and say, this is how you play these chords. Learn all these chords, because our brother Mike, who's the box of Mike, was also in music on all these cover bands and whatnot. So these guitar players, like they were doing like fucking like classic rock type of shit in the 80s and early 90s and whatnot. So yeah, I went over. So I sat there and the one guitar player, he just drew the chords. He's like, all right, cool, go work on all these chords and talk to me in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, I'm like, look, I can play this, I can play this, I can play this chord, I can play this chord. He's like, all right, now put them together. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, figure out how to go from one chord to the next chord to the next chord. Yeah. And that's how I learned how to play guitar. And
that's how I learned, basically.
And I just started writing songs and shit like that. And obviously it's one of the reasons I got into punk rock pretty early, because it was pretty easy fucking to do.
Yeah.
And, but this album, as a young guitar player, I was like 14 years old when I discovered this album. I would play guitar about 2 years at that point. This is the first album that I was able to actually sit there, put on the tape, grab my guitar, and actually figure out some of those songs.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't have a great ear.
That's one thing I wish I don't know who the hell she got it from, but my daughter Haley, the one time I had brought her to, it was when she was in middle school. I had brought her to school for a performance of like the choir and like whatever fucking show it was, and her music teacher loved her. Like, her music teacher was great. And her music teacher figured out that she has almost perfect pitch.
Yeah.
So what her like, when her music teacher would get bored, he would literally just call her name and just hit a key on the piano. And usually she was about half a step. If she wasn't right, she was half a step within where she was supposed to be.
So she needed a little training.
Yeah.
You know where she got that?
I've never been that way.
Yeah, you know where she got that from? Her father.
You?
No, whoever her father is, because I can't do that either.
Yeah.
So,
But
so
that's,
I'm just saying, you've been taking responsibility for a kid that's not yours for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
but yeah, so I've always envied people who could like. I used to know a guy when I was going to college.
Oh, real quick, is she driving yet?
Did I tell you? I told you this story. So we've talked on the podcast before. My daughter is blind. For those of you who are fans of it, my daughter is also a very big fan of Bob's Burgers. So the one day I asked her, well, she asked me if I wanted to hang out. So I was like, yeah, let's go get lunch. We'll go do some shit. So what I did was we went to lunch, and then I took her to a parking lot behind the lesser used parking lot behind a mall. And I let my soon to be 18, she'll be 18 as of the date we're recording, she'll be 18 on Friday. My soon to be 18
she graduates this week.
Yeah, she graduates on her birthday.
Nice.
She's my soon to be 18-year-old daughter. I let my 18-year-old blind daughter drive my car in this parking lot. And I said to her, I was like, I really just want to recreate the scene from Bob's Burgers where Bob lets Tina drive. And the entire time Tina's driving, she's just like, So she's going. I'm like, can you do me a favor and just make the noise so I have some fucking joy in this?
Did she?
No, she did for a little bit.
Okay.
But she actually, surprisingly, she did fairly well for a blind kid.
Yeah, man.
She's got a little bit of a lead foot, but I mean, it was literally her first time and behind the wheel. So she doesn't know how sensitive the gas pedal can be.
Yes.
But yeah,
she can't see it.
Well, yeah. But like, you know, she pulled some like 180-degree turns. Nice. And like, yeah, nice. I was like, at one point, we were driving, and there was you've been to Franklin Mills Mall.
Yeah.
You know how where on some of like not the main entrances, but the entrances for some of the big stores, there's like the divider.
Right.
And then there's the lanes up to the store, and then there's the parking lot.
Yeah.
We were going towards the divider, and she starts like going. I'm like, no.
Slow down. That's great. That's great.
But yeah, like I was saying, I envy her ability to hear something and go like, oh, that's an F. Or like, I went to college with a dude who you could play him a song, and if he was sitting at a piano, you could play him a song, and a couple minutes later he would just start playing it.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of videos online of. Are you familiar with Charlie Puth?
No.
Charlie Puth is I don't know what you would really consider him. He's like a pop R&B, I guess, type singer.
I thought he was a silent film star.
No, that's a different.
It's different. Charlie. Okay.
But Charlie Puth
owns a chocolate factory.
Yes.
Okay.
But Charlie Puth has perfect pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So like I've seen videos of him, like people playing him something for like literally 10 seconds, and he starts playing it. It's something I've always envied, and something I've never been able to do. So it's kind of it's impressive that you were kind of able to figure that out with this album.
No, it was and I've definitely gotten better with that. Or at least and a lot of that comes from my knowledge of music theory. Is like someone's like, well, this is the key it's in,
and that's the other thing. I have learned. You've had more musical training than I have.
Right.
Like my musical training literally is I got a guitar. I looked up chord diagrams. I learned how to play those chords, and I just kind of went from there. Mm-hmm. I don't know why chords sound good together, but I know which chords sound good together. I don't know the theory behind it, so I've actually thought of I've been playing guitar since I was a freshman in high school, and I've actually considered taking guitar lessons. Now
I've thought about doing that too, but I'm just kind of like, what's the fucking point?
As a 32-year-old, specifically just so I could understand the theory of what I'm playing better.
Yeah, no, I've thought about doing the same thing, but I'm not going to. So
neither am I.
Yeah, so, but this is definitely that's one of the reasons why this album does kind of stand out to me, is because it was one of the first albums. Excuse me, and one of the only albums I've been able to sit down and actually start to learn the songs.
Oh, you know what? I did do it once, and it was by accident. I accidentally taught myself how to play "Island in the Sun" by Weezer.
Yeah, I've done that too. I've done it where I'm like, oh shit, that's that. Feel Like Making Love. No, is that it? Yeah, Feel Like Making Love by Bad Company, I think it is. I accidentally learned that on accident. I was like, oh fuck. I think I was trying to write a song.
That's what
came out. I'm like,
that's what I was doing. I was just noodling around trying to write something, and I was like, okay.
Yep. Another personal story about this. Good Feeling, the last song on the original LP. So the very last time I took acid, and I went into it saying, this is the last time I'm going to take acid. It was a summer night, and so I'm dropping acid and, you know, whatever, and I was coming down, and
This podcast took a weird
yeah,
turn.
it did. And the sun is coming up, and the sky's kind of like fucking purple, because, you know, it's like, you know, it's like just real pretty, and I'm coming down, and everything's feeling good, and like I just had this song playing, and I just had good feeling playing in my head, and just like the words, I was just like, ah, yes. And I never did acid again after that too, because I think it was like kind of like the perfect ending to it, you know.
As someone who's never done acid, like myself, what's the ideal time of day to do acid? Is it like a just before the sun breaks?
I think it's depends on what you want to get out of it. You know what I mean? So, you know, I've done it a few times. I've done it at all different times of day. So I think it just depends on what you're doing and why you're doing it and what you're trying to get out of it. So, you know.
There is a mixed berry.
There is a mixed berry there for you.
I'll jump on this grenade for you.
Yes. So, but no, overall, man, I love this album. My wife is texting me. Oh, she's sending me pictures of my baby. Oh.
What's she doing?
She's sleeping.
No.
She's sleeping. Regina had a little bit of a tough day today. She had her doctor's appointment, 6-month checkup. She got a couple shots. So, but she's a fucking great baby, dude. Like, she woke up at like 4:45 this morning, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And like sometimes she'll wake up and like Katie will be able to like feed her, and then she'll like go back to sleep. And that wasn't happening today. So like I was like, fuck, all right. So like, you know, we are breastfeeding. So Katie has to feed her. It's not that I'm just like, I'm not fucking getting up with the kid. But no, after Katie fed her and put her back down, and then like, you know, she didn't fall back asleep, I jumped out of bed and I took her into the other room and whatnot.
Yeah.
So Katie could get some sleep before work, which she couldn't even get fully back to sleep anyway. But it was all good. So baby's been up for a little while, and she's had a rough day, but yeah.
I don't think I've ever noticed. Are you guys doing a pacifier with her?
When she wants it. It's not like a constant thing. Like, you know, if we're in the car, honestly, she uses it now more to chew on it because she's teething, and
Yeah.
she doesn't have anything break through yet. But that's basically she doesn't like suck on the pacifier. She just like chews on it. When she was real little, she was sucking on the pacifier a little bit, but not even like consistently. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like every now and then it was like real Maggie Simpson sound in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's just kind of like you know, like if we're in the car, we're going on a car ride. She'll chew on the pacifier.
With my two boys, Liam being the older and Henry being the younger, Liam was very much into his pacifier to the point where he just constantly had it. When the way we finally broke him of it was when Henry was born. We told him that only one kid in the house was allowed to have a pacifier.
Oh, you lied to him.
Yeah.
You know, you have lied to that kid so much.
Yeah.
And there's the one thing, man, I hope that I'm fucking there the day that the truth comes out and he goes, fucking Uncle Paul wasn't lying. Do you know what I'm talking about?
What?
So we were sitting there. Liam, Adam's oldest son, is a very, very sensitive boy. Mm-hmm. He's a very sensitive boy.
Sensitive to the point where during the freeform, the 25 Days of Christmas, they constantly play SPCA commercials and shit like Save the Elephants or Save whatever endangered species. We had to change the channel because he would break out into tears.
Yes.
Because to the point where we actually adopted him a baby elephant for his birthday.
Nice. And he is an animal lover. And so at a very young age, he you know, we were at a family party. I think it was like the skipper's birthday or something like that. And I'm talking to him, and we start talking about chickens. And, of course, I'm telling him how you get chicken. Now you, like, cut the chicken's head off, and it starts running around. And, you know, you got to take it and you pluck the chicken. That's how you make chicken. And he's getting all upset and crying. And your ex-wife's just looking at me like, there's been a fucking asshole. There's
been a few times where Paul has done or said things... that sounds weird. That there's done. Paul did the remove your thumb magic trick. If you guys are watching, and it broke my fucking kid's mind. And he freaked out.
Yeah, but at any rate, so I'm telling him like how they actually kill chickens, and he's like no, and then your ex-wife is like Uncle Paul's joking. That's not really how you do it. He looks at me and says, are you joking, Uncle Paul? And I'm just like. I'm like, yes, Uncle Paul's being. He hits me. He's like, that's mean, Uncle Paul. Why would you say it? And I remember looking around and be like, one day this is going to come back and bite you. That you're lying to your kid, and I told him the fucking truth. I mean, granted, it was probably a little too soon to tell a little kid about how chickens get killed, but still, regardless, it was very funny. So anything else you feel about this album before we get down to business?
No, just the fact that it's. I think it's a good album.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's. It might sound cliche to say it, but it was probably ahead of its time.
Oh yeah, definitely for that time. Yes, I agree.
And yeah, like I
nobody else was doing what they were doing in 1983.
Yeah,
plain and simple. So, which is kind of funny because it makes you wonder. Like there are bands now who are doing similar type of stuff. Not even exactly like they did.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you wonder, like, what would. Like if they came out today, what would the response be? Would it be better? Would it be worse? Would it be other thing about this? So this is one of those things I've realized too about the Violent Femmes. So I love this album. I don't know that I can say the same about any other Violent Femmes album. Now I like other Violent Femmes songs, and there's some that are really strong songs. American Music being one of them.
Is this another one of your like Bright Eyes Gaslight Anthem?
No, because.
Where you love one album and
one
and done?
So I think I one and done the whole album, whereas like I think Gaslight's starting to grow on me a little bit. Bright Eyes I still don't like anything else. Yeah. You know what I mean? Whereas like Bright Eyes is like
which
the
reminds
album.
me, I'm gonna send you 2 songs later. They're not Bright Eyes, but they're like Conor Oberst's side projects.
Yeah, I'm sure it sucks.
Yeah.
But at any rate, but I will listen to them with an open mind and tell you that they suck after I listen to them with an open mind. I'll tell you before and after. So I because this album is so good and I like it, I am much more open-minded to more Violent Femmes albums. I just don't like any complete albums. I like songs. I have, like, in my collection, I have this, and I have, recently there was a re-release of, recently meaning like a few years back, there was a re-release of Added Up, their greatest hits. And I have it on the indie exclusive blue vinyl. I did order one for myself.
Paul,
I know.
I have it on the indie
I couldn't get the record store, David. I got the indie exclusive blue vinyl.
Fuck you guys.
And
I got the blue vinyl.
I like 90% of the songs, or even some of those greatest hit songs. I don't necessarily like. No. But when it comes to Violent Femmes, I'm not listening to greatest hits. I'm listening to this album. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because this is almost, in my mind, this is a greatest hits album. You know, it just happens to be one solid album. Yeah. You know. So I will say that I also thought it was like when The Crow was coming out, I was really looking forward to that movie. And I was looking forward, and when I started like hearing about the soundtrack, I was really looking forward to hearing the soundtrack. And then I saw that the Violent Femmes were on the soundtrack of the Crow movie.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, how is that gonna fucking work? The Violent Femmes on an album like that?
Yeah, like when you think the Crow, you think like, when did the Crow come out?
1994.
Yeah, see, I would think more like grunge and
it wasn't
like,
even that though. It wasn't even that. It was,
no, but I mean in like more like grunge isn't heavy, but like grunge is the heavier of that kind of shit that I would expect to be on the album. But like more grungy, like heavier, like even more like pop metal type shit.
Yeah, so the main 3 bands that I remember, I do like the Crow soundtrack, like the movie soundtrack as well as the score, which are like 2 different things. Yeah. I like the score a little bit better than the overall movie soundtrack, but like The Cure put the song Burn was put out on that album, that thing. The Stone Temple Pilots is actually the closing credits. That's the Stone Temple Pilots. I forget what song it is. I never was really.
See, like, that makes sense.
And it actually does fit the album, even though I'm like not like a real big Stone Temple Pilots. It works with. I'll tell you my Stone Temple Pilots story, especially since it was just my birthday. This is great. I'll get into that in one second. And then And then the Violent Femmes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, the Violent Femmes? I forget what other bands are on the soundtrack, and I don't really feel like looking it up right now.
Keep talking all
But at any rate, the song that the Violent Femmes do for the Crow soundtrack actually fits the Crow soundtrack. But it's still the Violent Femmes.
Yeah.
It's not like they added all these synths or anything. Like, they still did what they do, but it works in the movie, and it works on the soundtrack. So, real quick, since it was just my birthday.
Wait, real quick. We
okay.
have Jane Siberry, Rage Against the Machine, Helmet, Stone Temple Pilots, The Cure, Nine Inch Nails makes complete fucking sense.
Yep.
Medicine, Color Me Once by the Violent Femmes.
Yep. Color Me Once, that's what it was. Yep.
My Life with the
Thrill Kill
Cult.
Yep. Which song?
After the Flesh.
Great song.
Ghosts. I'm sorry. Rollins Band, The Jesus and Mary Chain, For Love Not Lisa, Machines of Loving Grace, and Pantera.
Right. And all of those bands seem to fit, except for the fucking Violent Femmes. But the song that song is a great song on that soundtrack. So my Stone Temple Pilots story. So everybody's done it. Everybody has. It's actually even more perfect that it's right before that. This is like right before Father's Day too. Every teenager has that point where you realize your parents don't get you.
Yeah.
Right. So mine, when I really realized it, was my 16th birthday.
I say even if they do actually get you, but there's always a point where like they don't get me.
Yes. Yeah.
There's always that teenage angst of I'm different from anyone that's ever existed ever, but you're not.
So my 16th birthday, I've never really been a Stone Temple Pilots fan. Now I am a music fan generally, and I remember getting to that age where my dad and your mom Debbie or my stepmom asked, "Hey, what do you want for your Christmas or birthday or whatever?" And I was like, "Oh, I'd like some records." And I remember your mom like saying like, "Oh, he's at that age," you know what I mean? Because I probably was like 13ish or so. You know,
my mom always talks about the age where our Christmas presents went from being giant boxes to being like DVD cases and video game cases. Yeah,
exactly,
and shit,
exactly. So, I was like at that. I was at that, but it was music. So, for my 16th birthday, I never liked Stone Temple Pilots. Never talked about Stone Temple Pilots, and definitely was no longer into professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So for my 16th birthday, Dad got me a Stone Temple Pilots t-shirt and a ticket to go see professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly, he bought you a ticket. Didn't he buy you a ticket so that like he could take Zach?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. yes. And granted, when I was younger, I was way into wrestling, super into wrestling. But like I was well out of wrestling at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just like, oh, great.
Yeah.
So since it was just my birthday and Father's Day is coming, that is that is my angsty teenage Paul, who definitely when I opened up that gift probably started singing "Kiss Off" in my head. Yeah. So, all right. So now we got to get down to business.
I know what you're gonna ask me, so let me bring the album over here so I can remember.
No, we're not at that part.
What's the business?
Go put that back.
What?
Go put it back. Damn it! We have segments here, motherfucker.
I know. What were you about to ask me?
The Regina Factor.
Oh, the Regina Factor.
Dude, I have
even more important than what my favorite songs were. Regina.
And I've added a competition to the Regina Factor as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've decided to do this on my own. I didn't discuss it with you, but I think you'll enjoy it. So, the Regina Factor. So, here is how this went. Normally, and I've talked about this, I generally do the food shopping on Friday. I've recently started taking Regina with me. Sometimes we just take random car rides, too, because she just likes to chill, and sometimes if she's being a pain in the ass when it comes to taking a nap,
put them in the car.
Put them in the car, we'll go for a ride for
You got kids and they don't sleep, put them in the car. I bet you they go to sleep.
Yep. She, a lot of times, is asleep by the time we get to the street. So, but at any rate, but what you should not do is after you're driving with your kids, if they're asleep, take them out of the car. Just don't leave the car running and leave them in the car. Don't do that. Just don't. So at any rate.
Like leave them in the car and you get out of the car?
Yeah.
Who does that?
People do it.
That seems reckless.
Yes. So don't do that. But anyway, okay, so on Friday, we were going food shopping, and it was only a two store stop, so it wasn't that bad. I didn't really need to get a whole lot. So we're driving home, and I put on the Violent Femmes, and I also realized that she, also needed to eat soon and whatnot. Well, she started crying, so I'm just like, oh man, maybe she's cranky. I don't want to put this quite as a dislike yet. Maybe we'll have to go back and check it again. But then I put on Little Shop of Horrors, and she stopped crying once she realized it was on. So it wasn't that when she was cranky. She dislikes the Violent Femmes. So this goes down as a Regina dislike, and here is where the competition is going to come in now, right? So
I'm interested.
We're basically going to say who is speaking more to Regina. Well, whose music does Regina like better?
Oh.
Okay.
That's something I didn't even think of, and I like it.
So now we have the three indifferents. Right now we have three indifferents. She's indifferent. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that doesn't really matter. This is our 11th album that we've done. She has 3 albums that she's indifferent to, and that could be indifferent. Number one, we weren't doing the Regina Factor. Number two, I don't know if she heard it. Definitely didn't want her to hear Taking Back Sunday, so I was doing her a favor. So, the tally of the total tally is she has 5 records she likes and 3 records she dislikes, and then 3 that are indifferent.
Okay.
Now the breakdown is for Adam, she likes 4 of your albums and dislikes 1. For me, she likes 1 of my albums and dislikes 2.
So far, she likes more of my shit than she
Exactly. So that is something we will be keeping track of.
That's an angle I completely forgot to think of.
Yes, of whose albums, whose taste of music does my 6-month-old daughter actually seem to like more? And as it stands right now, it is Adam. She sends to Adam. You're speaking to the young children.
She's a country lesbian.
Which actually brings me to another thing too. As we're speaking to the young folks, everybody who's been subscribing and following our podcast on whatever you follow podcast on, I definitely appreciate. So we talked about how our grip on Bayron has been slipping a little bit, right? So, but I don't know if it's that it's been slipping or if we've just been gaining some momentum in the U.S. So we are at 98% of our audience is in the United States.
Okay.
2% is still in Bayron, so we still got listeners in Bayron, which we fucking appreciate you guys there in Bayron. However, we have less than 1% now coming from Germany.
Oh, you know what's weird? On the country hit, I'm sorry, not the country. On Summer Movie Club, Germany is it's like U.S. and then like 2% Germany.
Okay. You know what? It's our last name. It's the Weiss.
Yeah, it's Visa. Like Germans are like, oh, these fucking German motherfuckers.
Yep. They're like, oh, listen to this. Although it's funny because Birmingham 6 actually, we got a international distribution deal from a record label in Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Germany apparently is just like, yeah, America.
Yeah.
That's not German.
That's not
German at all.
Yeah, exactly. And then also now less than 1% of our audience is in the 18 to 22-year-old range.
Oh yeah, we're hitting a younger demographic.
We're in a younger demographic.
We're connecting with the children, with the youth.
We have skipped over 23 to 27 and gone right to 28 to 34.
I was a 23 to 27-year-old. Fuck those people.
Exactly. Right. So, so we're expanding our territories and our ages as well. So now back to the thing. Go ahead and grab the album.
Go ahead and grab the album so I can double check.
Go ahead. Yes. What are your 3 favorite songs on this album?
Blister in the Sun, Blister in the Sun, and Blister in the Sun.
I am not surprised.
I'm gonna go Kiss Off, which was one of the songs that I didn't realize that I knew from this album. I'm gonna go Add It Up.
Okay.
And I'm also gonna go listed on the album is Gone Daddy Gone / I Just Want to Make Love to You.
Yeah, I don't know what the I Just Want to Make Love to You is.
On iTunes, just listed as Gone Daddy Gone.
Yeah.
Which Gone Daddy Gone is also the song I was talking about earlier that features what I thought was a marimba, but is a xylophone quite heavily.
Yeah.
So for me, top 3: Kiss Off, Add It Up, and Gone Daddy Gone.
So Add It Up, I love Add It Up. So that's definitely, it doesn't make it onto my top 3, but I definitely love that song. The thing, okay, so I used to play before I did Irish music, I was playing briefly in like a cover / original band. This guy Brett Talley, go check it out. Brett Talley Music, BTB. I mean, I don't actually even know what his things are right now, but look up a musician called Brett Talley. He's a very talented musician. Plays in a bunch of different things, including the Caulfields. I don't know. Are you familiar with the Caulfields?
It sounds familiar. Does he still do all of his? Does he still produces shit?
He still produces shit and whatnot, but he's like been playing in like a bunch of different bands. But anyway, he's lately been the like he's not an original member of the Caulfields, but like when the Caulfields have done some reunion shit, he's been their go-to guitar players because he's also really good friends and was in a band called Ike with a guy named John Fay, who is the singer of the Caulfields, who also just put out a new book, The Yin and Yang of Everything, I believe is what it's called. So check out John Fay music, check out John Fay, check out Brett Talley, check out the Caulfields. Caulfields in the 90s got big with a song called Devil's Handbag, I think, or Devil's Pocket, or something like that. But at any rate, the chorus was like, I'm bigger than Jesus now. Like that song. Not familiar with it? At any rate. So at any rate, I was playing in a band with Brett Talley, and I was playing bass. We were a 3-piece band. I was playing bass, he was guitar, and we just do it on drums. And we started covering Add It Up. Which was cool because it was like at the time I was like, oh fuck it, I love the song and it's real easy to play and I get to do this bass shit and da. So I like that. But one of the things and Birmingham Sixes I actually played Add It Up a few times too. One of the things that I gotta pick a bone about playing Add It Up, not the song Add It Up, because the song Add It Up's actually a pretty fucking perfect song. It's a lot of different dimensions. It has the fucking stops, but it's the stops that like, and this is again where you have people who know the Violent Femmes and people who have heard the Violent Femmes. And every drummer thinks that every sixth beat is a fucking stop. They stop 4 times in the song. I'm sorry, they stop 4 times in the song. But every drummer I've ever done it with, like where we're covering it, they stop like almost every. It's like, dude, fucking stop stopping. Like the stops are gone. There's only one more stop in this album. Fucking stop. So it that annoys me. But that's just me. That's just me because I really like the song. When I play it right, you know what I mean. But no, otherwise I fucking love that song. Like the break it down, like the kick it down, kick it at the top of the stairs. It's like fucking. It's almost like a chanting, rapping type of thing, and it's just like in the bass. Oh man, it's a great. Like there's like two. There's a bass solo and a guitar solo, but even during the guitar solo, the bass is still doing some fucking crazy shit. So no, that's a great album, especially a song that ultimately is 2 chords. Yeah, that's all it is. It's just like the whole song is just 2 chords, like back and forth the whole time. So
I want to throw a little caveat of an honorable mention.
Okay.
And I apologize if there's any diehard Violent Femme fans out there, and if this offends you in any way. Confessions would be sneaking up on the top 3 list.
Okay.
Confessions gives me Doors vibes.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's this like 6-minute song. There's a random like just 1.5-minute jam session in the middle of it. Like, and just honestly, the entire album, the way the way Gordon Gano sings is very Jim Morrissey, like talky poetry, like slam poetry type singing. Yeah. So Confessions would be sneaking up on my top 3, and it gives me real heavy Doors vibes while listening to it.
All right. So I'm going with another Chusey Chowie Wowie.
Chusey Chowie Chowie.
Who you should go check out if you are in the Bucks County area.
So Paul, what would you list as your top 3?
Number 1, hands down, I've already talked about it a bunch of times during this podcast, is Kiss Off.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely spoke to teenage angsty Paul. And great song all around. Another song, very, very simple song, just a couple chords and an amazing bass line.
And I think honestly, listening to the whole album, I think you could have done side 1, track 1 as Kiss Off, and it would have set the same tone that Blister in the Sun does.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why a lot of times if I'm just listening to this, if I'm like, oh, what am I listening to? I'll skip this. I will put it on, but I'll just go right to Kiss Off and just go from there. Number 2 is Promise.
Okay.
Okay. So Promise was again one of those songs where I was able to figure out.
Yeah.
On guitar, and I don't know if we talked about it, but when Frank Daly from Jameson Celtic Rock, Jameson CR on their social media, was on podcast for Smith's episode. So when I was in high school, and again, and this actually goes to Sean, who my buddy Sean, who I've known like my whole life.
I'm sorry, is that Sean of the Unholy Four?
Of the Unholy Four. Sean of the Unholy Four.
That's FOUR4, not the number 4?
Yes, as you blew out the fucking...
Yeah, I know.
You should see the
I
fucking
apologize,
sound
I'm
wave
sorry.
right now. Jesus Christ. So at any rate, so me and Sean were learning songs and whatnot, and writing songs, like guitar and all that kind of stuff. So at one point, we had this punk band called Murky Distraught. And it was I was actually just played vocals. Sean played guitar. Frank Daly was on the drums, and this dude who, and this dude who we went to high school with as well, who was a drummer, was on bass. This dude Mike DeVuno was on bass, and like I had like the original songs and all this kind of stuff. Well, we played one show, and one of the things we actually did was we covered Promise.
Oh, okay.
So that's one of the reasons that kind of sticks out to me, because it was like, oh, it was our one only show, and we did it. And like, there's the part where he like holds out the vocal, like he just holds the note for a while, man, and I fucking nailed it. And so I remember that show. So what I used to do all the time is our brother Mike, in his cover bands, they would, because he was the drummer, everybody would practice at our house. So everybody's gear was there. They would bring their like fucking Marshall half stacks and their fucking Ampeg bass amps and their fucking Les Pauls and fucking Telecasters and all that kind of shit, and they would just leave it there. And so me and Sean used to go and like fucking play the shit.
Yeah.
And like to the point, it was like horrible. Like I remember like I would be playing like the one dude's like Les Paul, and I would break a string, and instead and I'd be afraid to change the string, so I would just put it back in the case and close it.
Yeah.
And like they'd go to practice and be like, "What the fuck is this?" And Mike would be like, "Paul," I'm like, "I don't know what happened." They're like, "Oh, wait, you think the string broke in the case?" I'm like, I don't know, man. Neck tension. I don't know what
There's
the
a
fuck
lot
to
of
tell you.
we're in a basement. There's a lot of humidity.
Yeah. But at any rate, so when we played that show, that Murky Distraught show, Michael actually, we hired him to do sound, and of course he charged us. So cause it was like a festival type of thing that like I had actually put it together at like 15, 16 years old. And so I remember playing the show. We played that song. We played Promise, and as soon as we got off stage, Michael actually walked up to me and shook my hand. He's like, "That was fucking good." And it was the first time he ever said anything like that to me, because like that was.
And I remember you telling me a story for a long time in your youth. The only thing Michael would say to you was, "What are you, an asshole?"
Exactly.
So I would imagine. I would imagine getting the recognition. From someone who, for a long period of time, only said to you, "What are you, an asshole?"
Yes.
Is quite fulfilling.
But like I remember, I'm like, oh, I mean, I fucking totally played it off. Like, oh yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, that's great. But I was like, oh, cool. I impressed Michael for a second. No. But no. From the time I was 12 till probably 19 or so, and it would be like the most ridiculous stuff. I'd be like he'd be watching like a hockey game, and I'd sit down and be like, oh, cool, what's the score? And he would just look at me, what are you, an asshole?
I remember you saying
the
one thing you told me was your friends were over and Mike was hanging out with you guys, and you chimed in on a joke, and Mike looked at you and said, "What?"
Oh yeah, it was constant. Like I said, that's all he ever fucking said. He just looked at me like, "What are you, an asshole?" I'm like, "All right, fuck. I guess I'm a fucking asshole." I remember
that story sticks out to me. I'm like, that's fucking funny.
So my number 3, I have a tie for number 3, and that is "Prove My Love" and "Gone Daddy Gone." Okay. And one of the reasons it's "Gone Daddy Gone" is that fucking that xylophone. Like when I was in high school, we had one of those xylophones, and I'm like, man, I want to fucking learn how to play the fucking solo, and I never did, because I could barely fucking tell the difference of the xylophone and the piano, even though they're set up exactly the same.
That's what I have no xylophone training whatsoever. But I have a little bit of piano training, and I quickly figured out that, this is set up the exact same fucking way as a piano. So.
Yep, as is a glockenspiel.
Yeah.
There you go. So, least favorite song?
Least favorite song is hard.
This is radio. You got to keep.
I know. I'm sorry that there's just so much dead air. But if you're watching the podcast, you saw like the angst in my face and looking at the back of the album. Honestly, I might want to put "Good Feeling."
Okay.
I remember, as I was listening to it, I was just like, either honestly, looking at the back of the sleeve, either Good Feeling or Prove My Love.
Okay.
Which is the first song on side 2 and the last song on side 2. And listening to them, I was just like, I just remember getting so much energy from the rest of the things, and like those two stuck out to me as just kind of lower energy.
Okay. Right.
So it'd probably be a toss up between Prove My Love or Good Feeling.
So
for least favorite.
I also have a toss up for least favorite, but I think you're gonna be like, really? And my least 2 favorite songs on the album are Confessions and To the Kill.
Confessions, honestly, my first thought on Confessions when it popped up on my my car's center console was oh fuck, this song's like 6 minutes long, like what the fuck.
Yeah.
And then I enjoyed it. To the Kill, I get it.
So here's how I feel about those 2 songs, and overall they're part of the album, and I love the album. So it's like, again, one of those situations where, you know, the worst song on an album is probably better than the best song on some other albums. But those 2 songs, I feel like you could pull them off of this album and the album still works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like how, like I said, like you could pull Blister in the Sun off, and have Kiss Off lead off this album.
Yeah.
Gives you the same vibe.
Yep. So, but yeah, no, it's just something about them. I just like, you know. But it's funny. I actually meant to mention this earlier, but I didn't. So, I have actually, honestly, like been, because tribute bands are like a big deal. And I have been like toying with a couple ideas for tribute bands, and I'm probably never going to do it. One of them is a Barry Manilow tribute band called Moist Manilow, because I just think that would be fucking awesome. And then, but I think that would be really difficult to do. But I have another tribute band that we talked about. Me and Sean back in the day, we were going to do a Joy Division tribute album and call it Long Division. Yeah, but it was just going to be, what we were going to do was he was going to do guitar, I was going to do bass, and then we were actually just going to program a drum machine. Yeah. And when we were going to go on stage, we'd just have the lights real low, but we would just have a mic in the middle for Ian Curtis, and then like we would do the vocals on the back, but we'd have a light on the mic, and you know, for like kind of like Ian Curtis, you know. Yeah. So that was the other one. We were called Long Division. And then I've been toying with an idea of a Violent Femmes tribute band called Pacifist Males. And but the problem is like basically we would be playing this album, like that's all we would do. You know what I mean? But I think that would actually be kind of funny, like Pacifist Males and Violent Femmes tribute band. You know what I mean? So but
I say,
I digress.
We have the bass, we have the guitar. Find a drummer. We have.
I know, right?
We have a pacifist male right here.
So, but no, I just I thought that would be that'd be cool. So now let's get down to the real motherfucking business.
Let's get to the real brass tacks.
All right. So this guy here, my copy is a 35th anniversary 180 gram vinyl pressing. As I had mentioned, there is a recent 40th anniversary record store day picture disc, which it's cool. I saw a picture of it. It's basically just like this,
That's fucking
and it is a cool presentation. So my copy that I have here came out in 2018. Craft Recordings put it out, which is not a part of Smash, but they do have a thing on the back here. On the back cover, about originally issued as Slash Records, and the catalog number, which was 23845, which is the original pressings and probably early represses of the album. But yeah, I know, I'm getting into the fucking jargon, right?
I'm Paul. I'm a vinyl nerd.
I am a vinyl nerd. So this is, like I said, this is the 180 gram pressing, 2018 35th anniversary pressing. Now.
It's a mouthful.
On Discogs, if you put in this catalog number, the other cool thing about this, though, especially since it came out with the 40th anniversary pressing, is that this album, this version, has now been discontinued. So you can't get this version anymore. The 2018 35th anniversary, because now there's a 40th anniversary pressing.
Yeah.
So you can't get this version, brand new factory sealed anymore unless someone is sitting on one. There are, when you look up the catalog number on Discogs, there are 2 different pressings. Doesn't tell me specifically what the difference is as far as which pressing plant, but the etchings are different.
Okay.
Okay? So there are 2 different sets of etchings. Now, I will start this off with the copy I don't have. The etchings on that one starts with like a pound 66 and has like a bunch of different stuff. That is not what I have here.
Okay.
The suggested retail on the very good plus condition of that etching is $42.
Okay. And that's the one you don't have.
That's the one I do not have.
Continue.
Now, the one that I do have, where the etchings match perfectly as to what is on there and to mine, at the very good plus pressing, the suggested retail of my copy is $81.25, which brings it up to $82.
Jesus Christ, really?
Yes.
Fuck
Now, again, though, like a lot. Well, don't fucking drop it.
No, I'm not going to drop it. That's why I cared about this.
Yes.
Not the sleeve.
My copy, honestly, like is probably, you know, if I was going to sell this in my personal, like from my personal collection, I probably have a near mint copy.
This is the most expensive record so far.
For me?
No, for either of us.
Has it?
Yeah.
Let's see.
This has been the most expensive so far. $82?
Oh yeah, it has.
Yeah, this has been the most expensive record so far.
Yeah, because I had
And
78
I almost
with
fucking
the bright
dropped
eyes. Yeah, you had 75 with the would say anything. That's right. Okay, yeah. So this has been the most expensive record. So if I were to sell this, it would probably be a near mint copy. I'd probably grade it near mint.
When you put your albums in the sleeve, do you put it so that you can pull the album out, or you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so this comes in at $82.
Sure. See, I care about when I fuck up your records. You don't give a shit about when you fuck up I keep my records.
Now, if I were to sell this even at near mint or even at very good plus, I don't think I'd be getting $82 for it because there's mint copies.
But them's the rules. We go by very good.
But them's the rules.
We go by the suggested retail.
I would probably sell it for $35-$40. You know, and it would probably sell because there are some copies of my pressing that are available. So. You know, it's kind of like the Pawn Star. We've talked about it. It's kind of like the Pawn Star thing. It's like, what do you see? Listed for $10,000 or is it selling for $10,000? Those are 2 different things.
I said you could list this album for $10,000 and it's not going to fucking sell for $10,000.
Exactly. So on that brings us to the running totals. You have 6 albums. I have 5 albums.
Okay.
You, at the end of last week's episode with the Gaslight Anthem, we're at $202.
Okay. Me
coming in with the most expensive suggested retail that we've had so far, which I didn't even realize until you just mentioned that. I am back solidly in the lead at $252.
So you got me on $50.
$50. So but that's so here's the thing. Even if I did have the other pressing, I would have you on $10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So either way, I'd be back in the lead one way or the other. So I'm happy about that. Very happy to be back in the lead. And very happy to have this this year.
See, that's the thing I enjoy so much about vinyl as well, is that the same pressing of this album, probably from a different plant, because you said like you were just saying, the etchings are off, so they're I'm assuming most likely from a different plant.
Yeah, so probably from a different plant. Might even be a different plate. You know what I mean?
So the fact that the other pressing of this album would only put you $10 ahead when this pressing of it puts you $50 ahead is really fucking interesting to me. Like, it's crazy the collectability that comes with it.
Yes, and that's why it matters. That's why you have to look at those things. You know, and that's when, like, I've heard it a million times. Someone says to me, I have like fucking like someone will be like, oh, I got a bunch of Elvis Presley records. What do you give them for? Give them to me. I'm like, I'll give you like $5.
Yeah, it's because
there's so many and there's so many different ones, and it's like. You know, it's like unless you have like the right one, it's like it's just not worth that much. It's just you know. But that is the cool thing about the pressings and the etchings and how much it can change the value of a record. So I'm going to put this over here on my done records. So I'm still a record behind you. You're still one record ahead of me.
Okay,
So when you're done texting,
that's fine.
If you want to grab a box of Mike,
do you remember who pulled?
I think we're a little bit off. I think I pulled last time, but you should be pulling.
You pulled. I remember you pulling Violent Femmes.
And I think we kind of fucked that up too. I think I actually may have pulled 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that's fine.
Whatever. What?
We've had guests that's fucked it up. We had one guest that was asleep.
Yeah, I know.
Which I was talking to Zach, and he said there's 2 albums that are on my list that when one of them pops up, he would like a redemption.
Well, he's got to tell me, and I'll put him on the list.
Yeah.
I have no problem. Plus, we're gonna have the crossover episode when that one thing gets good.
Oh, we're going all
the way up. We're going all the way up. I don't know, fuck with you. Go all the way up.
I'm too fucking short for that.
I know. From the box of Mike
at the very
comes
bottom.
our next.
We got number 26.
Number 26. Don't look. Don't just.
No, I can't. I can't tell the color.
Okay.
Can't tell the color at all.
Number 26. He's gonna rip it off the side instead of like how you open.
That's how.
Like
This is how I open envelopes.
I know. That's weird.
We got a blue.
Oh, that's one of yours.
Oh, we have Steel Train's self-titled album.
Okay.
So let me find that.
Steel Train. There you go.
There we go. We have Steel Train's self-titled album. This is actually interesting thing about this album. It's actually signed by people in the band, but it's signed to the girl that I was dating at the time when I got this record, because technically she bought it for me. So this is gonna be a fun one. There's some interesting stuff about this album, Paul. I don't know if you're aware, the lead singer of this band is the producer of some albums that you might enjoy. So yeah, I'm super excited to cover Steel Train. Steel Train self-titled.
Here's what I can tell you definitively about this album. I absolutely know nothing about this album whatsoever. I really don't. And I'm not even like, it's like I'm not even being an asshole. I really know nothing about this album or the band in general. So this is one of those things when like I was looking through your stuff there. I was like, I don't even know what the fuck this is. What?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If I'm not mistaken, this actually must be another one of my colored... Yeah, it is. Let me pull... Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I say this is...
that's pretty.
This is a blue and
white... marble, yeah.
Blue and white marble.
Yeah, it's a pretty record.
As I was just thinking, I'm like, this might be another fucking color one. I can't remember that.
You have a lot of those.
Yeah.
So I am... I'm interested, I guess, in figuring out what this band is, whether or not I like it. I am going into this with actually zero what's the word? Predeterminations.
Yeah. Which actually is
what
how
this is going to be.
It's how I discovered this band. I discovered this band because they were the opening act for another band that I was seeing live.
Cool.
And they played side one, track one of this album, and I fucking really enjoyed it. And the girl that I was dating at the time was nice enough to buy me the vinyl.
There you go. But the only thing that really matters besides what you think and what I think is the Regina factor.
It's true.
That's really
the most important thing is the Regina factor.
The most important thing that we do here is the Regina factor. So on that note, I think that's about it, right?
Yeah.
Violent Femmes, great album. Looking forward to...
Yeah, I really enjoy. Like I said, I didn't realize how many songs on this album I actually fucking knew, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm kind of upset with myself for not paying more attention to this album in the past.
Yeah, so everybody out there who only knows Blister in the Sun, go listen to the whole
listen to the rest of this
album.
fucking
Go listen to the rest of the
album.
album.
Do like what
please.
Paul does and skip Blister in the Sun and go straight to Kiss Off.
Exactly, and you will find a bunch of songs that you like and probably a whole album you like as well. All right, so on that note, it is time to... Mama!